All right, there we go. Wow, this was a lot.
It was a watch. It was a watch for sure.
We saw the Northman.
Yeah.
Cards. Let's go and get. Here, let me take my jacket off. This movie was. I like this movie a lot.
Yeah.
It is not perfect. I'll say that. I don't know how much of this movie you really loved.
I really liked the story.
Really? Because that's honestly maybe my least favorite part.
As I was watching it, my take on it was that it was very much inspired by probably historical storytelling, told on the way down. And I think we're very much used to like the blockbuster version of that.
Yes.
Really eventful and, cinematic, but it's like, no.
Ground and reality.
Yeah.
Kind of like, this is very much, I'll tell you what this movie reminds me of. It's very much in the same vein of what The Green Knight was last year. Me and Allie talked about that when we saw The Green Knight and did a video on that.
Yeah.
This is very much like, okay. This is very much the art house indie version of a Hollywood blockbuster. So basically what this movie's about is, it's a story set in 800 in the late 800s.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Yeah, and it's set about the son of a king whose father was killed by his uncle. So you can already kind of see the Hamlet inspiration a little bit.
Though at this point it predates Hamlet, right?
Yeah, it predates Hamlet. Funny. It does predate Hamlet, yeah. And it really doesn't take the shape of Hamlet anywhere past that.
Yeah, that's it. And again, it's funny that we, what comes to mind is Hamlet, but it's like, no, guys,
that's still close to 1,000 years off, right?
Yeah, and it's like, no, guys
off.
have been, chasing down their murderous uncles for a long time now, trying to avenge their dad. So
it's the fact that his father was killed by his uncle, and he joins up and becomes a berserker, which I only know a lot about them just because I happened to hear something about them on the radio one time. Berserkers were basically
so not Vikings.
They were They were in that area of they were from Scandinavia. Vikings were Danish.
Okay,
while
thank you. Okay,
the Scandinavians, I believe, was the berserkers. And maybe they were, I don't know, maybe they are. Yeah. Maybe because this movie jumps between, Iceland and other places, too.
It does, right?
So,
which is why I was like, Vikings? But I was like, oh, wait, no, the movie didn't start in Iceland.
But they got their name from, literally, their just brutal nature, which they got by boiling mushrooms in tea that was basically just cocaine. It was just a pure adrenaline shot that they boiled in their tea from mushrooms. And he basically so he sets out on this quest after getting a prophecy, and he's played by Alexander Skarsgård. And he goes out on this quest after getting a prophecy from a witch saying, you're going to give this is not the end for you. You are going to take your rightful place.
Right. The Seeress played by Björk.
Yeah.
Very excited. Very excited.
It's good to see she's back in a movie again.
Yes, absolutely. Because it's been I think Dancer in the Dark was her last film.
Yeah, because the reason and it's because of that movie why she never made another film.
She had a really hard time.
She had a hard time from Lars von Trier, constantly Lars von Trier's constant sexual
harassment, abuse, and just and being hard to work with in general. She
advances. Yes, his sexual. He constantly was making sexual advances on her making that film.
Right, and she if you know Björk, she's like no, and so
so this movie is exactly what you think. This movie, when they say this is a Viking revenge epic, that is most definitely what this is. What I would say I really enjoyed most about this movie. I admire just the vision and the craft.
Right.
This right on the front is such a beautifully mounted, fantastic looking film from the beginning. It's almost Lord of the Rings-esque.
Right.
And no, that's the thing though. There's almost no actual
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to know how they shot the volcano stuff. Did they?
I wonder if they went to, because there is a what was it? Last year, I think that volcano in Iceland erupted. I cannot think of the name of it. Okay, here's a plug. Go to Björk's Instagram. She has a video of it. It's that one. It erupted last year. So I was wondering. I was like, is that one? Did they take footage possibly and maybe impose it in there? It makes sense,
right?
Because.
But yeah, because like all of this stuff you could tell is shot in like real locations, and there's parts of this where they're like that scene with like the hot spring. Yeah, that looks like something out of like the Two Towers, Return of the King.
Right.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. Eggers, Robert Eggers is the guy who did Lighthouse and The Witch. Yep. Yeah, like he knows how to, like, he has a vision. Like, he has a direct vision.
He does.
I would say though, where I don't think this movie is perfect, I really was not as invested in this film story-wise as I was in his other two films. Yeah. Which is weird to say because there's a lot more going on in this film than in The Lighthouse and especially The Witch. Yeah. Like where you could see the budget, like the low budget in The Witch, like that was very much indie horror. Right.
Well, I will say, Robert Pattinson and William Dafoe, their chemistry really carried The Lighthouse.
Right. That was a film based on two performances. This sort of waiting for Godot kind of.
Yeah, you couldn't turn away. You were invested in the performance. And so, you know what? I'll say that too for this film. Not to say that they gave bad performances. It wasn't that. I just wasn't invested in them. And I as I was watching, I was kind of thinking from a perspective of, I mean, it wasn't much going on back then, I guess, anyway, I don't, that time probably wasn't very dialogue heavy. No. During some scenes, some lines, I would get excited, like, okay, yeah, now we're getting somewhere. When they start talking about the revenge, and then after that, it's just like, okay, they're doing your artwork. It was kind of like, so that's, I think, why the story kind of drug, because it was... Right.
It felt very episodic in parts. Yeah. Like, Green Knight was like that, but Green Knight was supposed to be like that, because Green Knight was based on kind of these Pinocchio-esque fables that were kind of individual stories anyways. Right. So that film flowed a lot better, even though it was cut into chapters, and this movie kind of is too. This movie has like title cards in between different sections. There would just be scenes in this where something like a major plot point would happen. Yeah. And then it would just kind of go into another thing. And I didn't really feel like they always connected. Even though this movie does have a big picture. There is a big picture of this film. Right. I just would not say, this...
It's a visual spectacle.
Yeah, it is. It very much is. It doesn't feel completely full. Yeah. It does not feel like it doesn't feel like, I would say this, I was not like, it didn't make me as invested in this main character, this main hero and his adventure as much as like Everything Everywhere All at Once did. Right. Where I loved every character in that film. Yeah. And loved the story, loved the point of that movie. This movie, I didn't love quite as much, but I liked this movie.
Watching, Alexander's performance,
he's fantastic in this.
Oh, Yes. But as you're watching his character on his journey and having his, goal that he has, it's the way it's set up. It's like, I get it. Yeah. But that's it. That's all it gives to you. Again, not just saying his performance, but him being the main character, the lead, and we're following his narrative and his story. It's like, I get it. Revenge.
This sort of, not just this, and it's not just this revenge story, but it's also sort of this divine vengeance.
You can see how it's that is definitely like interwoven in there.
Yeah, it talks about like the gods and sort fate. Fate, the gods. Because they talk about the Christians, and then they talk about like their own gods, and then you even have this scene where he's kind of getting these other visions of like being saved by the Valkyries, who are basically like the Nordic version of like angels, if I'm not mistaken. And then when he wakes up and finds out Anya Taylor-Joy came and got him and took him, and she's like, no, I'm not one of their Valkyries. Like, there's always sort of this there's always sort of this constant thing of, like, there's almost like this level of humanism to it. Like, they keep, like, they sit around waiting for this divine intervention that never comes.
Oh, and like the sacrifice scenes when meanwhile it's does this spoiler review or no?
You can say whatever you want here.
Yeah, like the scenes where he's kind of going around, killing, and every time somebody comes in, the gods have made their choice. It's like, no, it's Alexander Skarsgård going around killing people.
I know. I'm like, where is this going? When they open that up and there's this girl hog-tied on a pyre, I'm like, where is this going? And you realize they're making like a sacrifice because they think this killing was like a bad spirit. I'm like, this is...
It's the Skarsgård.
Right.
It's the Skarsgård. It's always the Skarsgård.
Yeah, like... yeah, it really is like, this like... it very much displays the level of like superstitions of that time.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I think it kind of, like you said about the humanistic approach, that drives him though. Mm-hmm. The sense of the divine, the sense of fate, the sense of his visions is which he ultimately receives, even if it's true or not. Yeah, that's final shot. Right.
Yeah.
Even at the end, where like he pretty much has essentially salvation, and you think about it, he gets to leave with his life, and Anna Taylor-Joy's character is begging him to stay. Pretty much, he's like, "No, it's my fate." Well, in so few words, but it's my fate. I must do it. I must go. And it's like, probably could have sailed away and lived to be like 50 and gone on about your business. Right. Had that been the case, but the sense of fate, the divine, and things of
but he gets these visions, and he's been told this prophecy, and he's like, I have to fulfill this. And that's a lot like how Green Knight was. There's a lot of parts in this movie that remind me of Green Knight, because that was very much about duty and honor. That was ultimately what was driving Dev Patel throughout the entire film. And then you also, there's even like a scene in this where it makes you think one thing is happening, and then it replays it, because like in this, there's a scene when he has to get like this sword, and he goes there, gets the sword, and he tries to take it from like this skeleton that then turns into a zombie that he has to kill like it's a Dark Souls boss.
Right.
And then he kills it, and then it does this thing where it like pans back over.
Yeah.
And it's back at the beginning of that scene when he takes the sword. It's like, again, it kind of plays into this, there's nothing divine or supernatural or out of the ordinary here.
Yeah, but then it kind of, it draws you back in, like, so in regards to the sword, he was told by the mystic that you can't unsheath it during the day. Yeah. And he can't.
Yeah.
That
was
it's
funny.
The way they set it up. It's like it starts with, he sees the king and he's trying to unsheath it and he can't, and then it's like, then the king or somebody was like, oh yeah, it's almost dawn, let's go guys, essentially. So it's like, oh okay, because he can't unsheath it. And then later on another person tries to unsheath it and then they can't, but then when he makes it to the gates of hell and it's daytime, he can all of a sudden unsheath it. Like, that was because he's meeting his destiny.
Well, that was funny. I like the one scene when they've got him tied up and beating the shit out of him, and the one guard is trying to I like that part.
Divine fate. Like he can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and that's how Green Knight had a scene like that, where Dev Patel is left for dead, and the camera turns around, and when it comes back around to him, he's a skeleton, where he's like given up, and he's just laying there, and then it spins around, and it shows like, meaning he's given up to the point where he's gonna die there, but then it spins back around, and it says, no, I'm gonna fight, and he escapes, and eventually completes his quest. So it does like, there's a lot of stuff in this that reminded me a lot.
So is the Green Knight kind of just, is it more rooted in the divine?
Yes.
Like this, so it's...
Yes, because there's actually like a tree man god spirit in that film.
Oh yeah, I saw that from the trailer, and he was talking. Okay, so there was rooted, because here watching it, I couldn't help but feel like, I'm like, this is probably like how it was. Then you were led by the, but it's it's people doing stuff. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's, especially if you're looking at it from a humanistic perspective. But the animals. So the animals, that trademark of how do you pronounce his last name? The director. Is it
Eggers?
Eggers, the animals. So, what was that like? Was that like a dog kind of
It was
thing?
a wolf.
Wolf. So that was like a wolf cub. I was gonna say. So we have the
their family has something about wolves. There's something about wolves with their
so
family.
the wolf, a seagull in the lighthouse.
Yeah.
The goat and the witch. Eggers has that thing right about animals, leading you on your way. Essentially, like, nope, you can't. Not you thinking about being a normal person. Yeah. You gotta go follow me to go do something. I noticed that there's a thing about the animals being a sign.
Yeah.
Of the mission, I guess. Yeah. Essentially, either animals do two things. They tell you where to go or they give you bad news. Yeah. In Eggers' film so far, it seems like.
And the Green Knight had a talking fox.
It did.
That was by David Lowery, who did Ghost Story.
Right.
But yeah, that film. I liked that movie more than this.
The Green Knight. I'll go watch it because
it's really good.
I wanted to see it,
I
just didn't get around to it.
I loved it. Yeah, I think Allie was a little cold to it. I think she did. I think she gave it the same score that I did. I'd give this movie a 3.5, which is what I gave Green Knight, but I'd put Green Knight above this.
Really, you gave Green Knight 3.5? Mm-hmm. And wait, are we doing it a 10 or 5?
Out of 4.
4. Oh, okay. See, you can tell I'm on the internet a lot. The internet loves 10-star review because right.
That just gets too all over the place. What is really the difference between a 5 and a 6?
Right.
What's the difference between a 6 and a 7?
Right, exactly. Just kind of after that. What would I give it? I would give it a 3, but I just wasn't super invested. It just it was a medieval story.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 2.5 out of 4 because I enjoyed I appreciated the story, but I also like to be entertained.
Yeah.
I can appreciate a story, but I also like to be entertained,
In that case, would you bump it up to 3? Because you can use your own rating scale if you want. I consider 2.5 negative. 2.5 is usually where I'm like, okay. I was disappointed.
Well, that's why I said 2.5, but I'll give it a 3. Skarsgård was in it. Skarsgård is in it.
Yeah. How long did it take you during that final fight scene to realize they were butt-ass naked?
Listen to me. Not long because I'm a girl.
I didn't know that.
Because I'm a girl.
I didn't realize
I was glued to the screen. Like I knew.
I swear I thought
the outlines of the like I knew.
I thought they
These
were
are
wearing
2 naked guys.
I thought they were wearing like the tied loincloth like they're wearing at the beginning of the movie.
No.
And it was in the final shot when you get
that is why it probably aside from the fact that it would scientifically it's a volcano and it's smoky everywhere, but like it's because they're butt-ass naked. And that's a lot of genitals. So I'm sure if they didn't want to get
NC-17.
that they had to smoke it out.
The thing is, I don't think penis gets you NC-17 automatically anymore.
Dang.
I don't think it does.
What does then? Nowadays.
Well, I guess we'll find out when we watch Blonde on Netflix, the Marilyn Monroe movie that's coming out, that Dominic Andrews is coming out.
Yeah.
I'm like, in this age where Euphoria is literally in this age where something like Euphoria is sold to teenagers.
Yeah.
Where is really the line for an NC-17 anymore?
Yeah, but just every so often, even now you hear about a film having to fight it. Every so often that rating. So it probably not as common now, but and I mean, I've seen penis in films of the present day, but that's what I figured. I was like, because they're butt naked fighting, so the whole scene is smoked out, but that didn't change much for me.
I didn't know. I literally didn't know until that shot when they both fall and where it's lit a little bit brighter. That's where I'm like, that's what this has been. Okay.
Nope.
So this is a really good movie. This will not, unless I have a year like I did last year where I didn't see a lot of great films. I don't know if this will be in my top 10. I've seen some really good films already this year, though.
So I'm gonna keep it up. I just wasn't as entertained.
Yeah. I wasn't either. I was way more, and like I said, I was way more invested in Green Knight. That had a lot more, and I guess it may have been the magic element of that. Right. It was a lot more inspiring.
It's not that it's not worth anybody's time.
No.
it sets it up in a way that you do want to see the story to its fruition.
Yeah.
It just, it wasn't a grandiose cinematic experience.
Come for the craft. Come for the craft. Stay for the ass.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. Come for the craft. Stay for the Skarsgård ass.
So it's for these guys.
Okay. Do you want to get your phone out and see the trailers that I sent you? I think I can remember most of them.
Oh,
I texted
yeah, here
you.
we are. Okay, yeah. So what did I miss? All right. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's a whole different app. Oh wait, that's not Logan. Oh my gosh. Okay. There we go. Okay. The Duke. Do you want to pull them up or?
No, just tell me their names and I'll tell you what happened.
Okay, the Duke.
Okay, yeah, you missed the trailers, but the Duke. Okay, this movie, I want to see this. Okay, this movie, it stars Jim Broadbent and Helen Mirren, and it was apparently based on, according to the trailer, it's based on a true story about this guy in. I don't know if they're Irish or English or what it is, who he apparently stole a priceless painting. He's like a bread maker, a poor bread maker who stole a priceless painting and basically held it for ransom, not for himself, but to try to get the rich elites to donate money to war widows. And it looks so freaking funny. Like, it sounds like a really sad, cynical film. No, it's actually really funny. Like, there's a scene where he's, like, sitting in the court. I guess, I don't know if they're going to jump around in time. There's a scene where he's sitting in court. How do you plead? Not guilty. Yay! And a guy on, like, the balcony just starts doing this, and he goes, for those not familiar with the legal system, that was a plea, not a verdict. I'm like, this looks so funny.
Okay.
And Jim Broadbent is a delight. I think he's like 90 now, and he's still got it.
Seriously?
He is old now, and he's still got it.
Oh,
I love Jim Broadbent. And Helen Mirren's fantastic always.
Okay, okay.
Oh, yeah, I want to see The Duke. I don't know where that's coming out, but I remember hearing something about it, but that's my first time seeing it. I want to see it. That looks like a treat.
Right. So, The Hatching.
Oh, me and Mike got this one at X a couple weeks ago. This looks like this is something from IFC, the Independent Film Channel.
Yeah.
It's a foreign film about a girl who finds a crow egg, raises it, and it hatches into some sort of half bird, half version of her. This looks wild.
See, okay. IFC ran so that A24 could fly. All right, like if you know, with films like Teeth and like that's. It
reminds me a lot of Lamb, like from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this looks like
I gotta watch that trailer.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
So she finds it.
And it like raises it and it keeps growing and growing and then finally hatches and then it grows into something that she's like keeping in her claw. Like there's a scene where she's eating bird seed, munching it up into goo, spitting in her hand, and you just see her reach into like the closet, and you're hearing where she's like feeding something. Oh, this looks. Oh, wow.
It's like, if you can think it, it can be a film. Essentially,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
Jurassic World Dominion.
I don't know. What do you like the Jurassic World movies?
Yes.
You do?
I'm a huge yes. I'm so excited for Dominion. We're all doomed, Logan. I'm so excited. Yes.
I love the original Jurassic Park. I love the original Jurassic Park, and I thought the first Jurassic World was okay. I don't know.
Oh, it was not. Now it was a copy paste now from Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
the first film, like the first Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World, it was copy paste essentially.
It was copy paste. Well, it wasn't so much copy paste. It was just.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's like I think they've been doing. They did that on the last two films, in my opinion. Not copy paste completely, but like they certainly take from the original films. Like in the second one, they tried to replace what is that actress's name who plays the paleo botanist in the first one?
Is it Laura Dern, the lady?
Yes, thank you. They kind of tried to replace her with like the new kind of upgraded millennial version of the paleo veterinarian, and it just didn't work. Like, and in Jurassic World, the first one, they had the 2 kids because we gotta save the 2 kids. You know what I mean? You see, the lead isn't really great with kids, even though Dr. Grant gave it a lot more charm and spirit. Right. In his hatred of kids. So it's it hasn't really.
The only thing that stuck out to me in Jurassic World was it has this kind of not so subtle criticism of SeaWorld in it. But yeah, like, I don't know, it just feels like we've gotten so many of these now that I watch these now, because I watched what was the Fallen Kingdom? Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know, like, I love the original Jurassic Park, and I'm just like, it doesn't have any of the magic that the Spielberg one did.
It doesn't, and
it just feels so Hollywood mechanical.
Now, if you know that the Jurassic World films essentially are pulling from the following books in the series.
Oh.
By Michael Crichton. So if you know whether you follow up on the lore, whether you have read some of the books I have, you can stretch so many narratives across books. And what the Jurassic World series has been doing is pulling some of those narratives out in the films and try make story happen.
Right.
And it just isn't. Like with the going steroids on the genetic engineering in the second one, because it's like, we're just gonna start creating. Like, no, it's they're pulling, and I don't want to spoil anything from the second one, from Fallen Kingdom, but there is a storyline in there in particular that is pulled from one of the Crichton novels, and you can tell they wanted to follow up with that in other films, but the fan, discourse and reaction to it was so sour that they chose not to, and I don't think it's going to be in Dominion. But if you know, you know. But I have hopes for Dominion. Fallen Kingdom was a letdown to me, but Dominion is the last film of the Jurassic World series. Yeah. And I know bringing back original actors doesn't always guarantee.
I was going to say they're bringing Sam Neill and Laura Dern back in this.
Right. One. And Jeff Goldblum's going to have a mainstay in this. Yeah. He had a cameos in Fallen Kingdom. Right. But
to set this one up.
Yeah, to set this one up. And I can't lie. I'm like, yes, thank you. Have them lead this movie, please, for sure, because it's been missing the mark. Like, Chris Pratt can only be so funny.
That was the only thing. That's like the only that I think is the only reason people go to see the Jurassic World movies, is because Chris Pratt, he's a likable guy, and
he is. His
Star-Lord thing, though, he's kind of getting that Ryan Reynolds thing where he's got this one kind of character personality that he can milk constantly.
Yeah,
and it stays fun enough that you're okay watching it, but it does get a little it's so, we've seen it before, but it's fun enough that you don't despise it like an Adam Sandler comedy, you know?
Right. I'm hoping for some maturity in Dominion, because I was gonna say him and his dynamic with Blue, so the Velociraptor. I know I enjoy following the story just for that alone, but I'm really hoping it doesn't fall into what I feel like is happening with the Godzilla movies, where they just do not know what to do with the people.
Right. That was what I thought about Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, the Godzilla series, like, they don't know what to do with people at all.
No, they don't.
They don't. It's like, and I don't think it's. I've seen that done purposefully, where we don't care what we do with the human storylines. You're here for the creature feature. I think the Godzilla series tries, but they miss the mark every time.
Right.
They missed ever since Godzilla 2014.
Yeah.
Which you had with that build up with help me out here. You know I'm bad with names. Breaking Bad's lead.
Bryan Cranston.
With that kind of build-up, with that selling power in the trailer, and then you get to the film, and you're like, yes, and I'm not going to spoil it, but just to not follow along with that in the other, it just falls.
I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, because if you haven't seen Godzilla 2014 yet, you are way too far behind.
Hey.
The second they killed Bryan Cranston,
yeah, he does.
I liked that movie. half a star less.
Right. And they did it in like the first quarter of the film. They did it
Right.
like the first third of the film. And it's like you do that to a character who at that point has served their purpose. He wasn't done. No. He wasn't done at all. I'm sorry. I'm so passionate about
because then that entire movie gets put on the shoulders of Aaron Taylor Johnson, and man, he doesn't have let's just say, I'm so glad they replaced his Quicksilver with Evan Peters. Yeah, that guy just doesn't. I don't know.
He did. I mean, listen. He played a really good guy in the Navy. Okay, but actually having because I believe that's what it was. He was in the Navy in the film. He played an in-person Navy person really good. But as far as carrying the lead as like this dynamic everyman, impossible man, no, it wasn't. No. And ever since then, it's been like that. And even though Kong up until that point was a separate franchise, felt that way too. We don't know what to do with the people. Oh gosh, was it John C. Reilly, I think, who was in Kong Skull Island? It's like, okay, you put in these characters that are supposed to carry.
He was just kind of a comic relief.
Yeah, he was kind of the comic relief, but we get to King of Monsters and we get to Kong vs. Godzilla. I feel like by then the human stories were just meaningless. By then,
they were props.
Very much props.
Props to get you to the gorilla fighting the lizard.
Right. To circle back, that's how I feel about Fallen Kingdom, but that's one film out of the so far series, and I'm hoping Dominion doesn't do that, because that would at that point be a 2 out of 3 in terms of the series. But I
want to be inspired by a blockbuster again, like I was with the first time I saw the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah. And I was trying to give Jurassic World a chance when it kind of gives out the narrative. It's like, well, at this point, people have seen dinosaurs, and I'm like, because what was that, 2015? That was 2015. Yeah. So what? We're just like over 20 years. It's like, okay, sure. So in this universe, the events did happen of 93, and we're in 2015 now. People know dinosaurs are back, and I'm like, how would that play out? Because that tends to be the human psyche. Is our consumerism, things cycle out of us pretty quickly. How would they handle that? Okay, it makes sense to up the ante and start to genetically modify the dinosaurs now because you want to keep the human interest. And it's like, everything went wrong, shocker there, that kind of thing. And I was kind of hoping for like this epic with Fallen Kingdom, but it kind of just turned out to be like the Hollywood generic and with the very much overtone of environmentalism. And I'm like, I would care, but these are dinosaurs. Yeah. And in real life, they're dead. Yeah. If this was sending a message about climate change or the ozone layer or
destruction of the environment,
how the condition we currently have of our soil, that's one thing. Dinosaurs are dead. Yeah. So trying to sell this message like we need to save them, I'm like, they're extinct.
Yeah.
It didn't sell that for me. I feel like it was trying to do that environmentalistic, and it didn't do that for me. Mm-hmm. The Save the Dino stuff was really cute. I do have a shirt, but it's not doing anything right. Yeah. So that's why one of the reasons Fallen Kingdom kind of fell flat for me.
All right. Well, before so we don't.
Oh, and Downton Abbey. One more.
Oh, right, Downton Abbey. I don't care. I talked about this with Adam. I think we got this when I went and saw Cyrano with Adam. Yeah. I don't care.
You never watched the show or anything, huh? Yeah.
Looks boring.
It means a lot to, because I have a lot of folks I know who really like Downton Abbey. Really, they love it. So the films mean a lot to them. Mm-hmm. I haven't watched it. Not that I'm not interested. It's just like I have other things to kind of give time to right now. I will say I do love a show called The Midwife. Not the same series, not like that. Mm-hmm. But I will say I get it. Like if they were coming out with a Call the Midwife movie, I would be stoked. Yeah. So I get why they're stoked about Downton Abbey. But a
new era, as it is.
Yeah, it's like era. I get it. I do. Yeah. But it'd be nice to care.
If it's your cup of tea, then sure, have at it.
You have to do like a Porsche kind of, because they're upper crust.
Right.
And
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I guess. I'm probably not gonna see a movie next week because I got the table read next week.
Okay.
Are you still planning to come to that?
Did you text me? Did you email me or text me about that?
I told you about it a few weeks ago. I can't remember if I texted you.
Oh yeah, and I have it in my notes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. I have it in my.
Okay.
Oh, were you gonna send me like details about it? Like I don't think you gave me a time. That's what it was.
I'll tell you about it
Okay,
after
cool.
this.
Yeah. Our business, don't worry about it.
So I'm probably not gonna see a movie next week. I still have not seen Sonic the Hedgehog yet though.
Me either.
I got busy.
I haven't seen the first one.
Oh really?
How was the first one?
It's fun.
It's fun.
I liked
good.
it.
That's good.
I'm glad
It was nice to not look at the that CGI that they originally had, huh? The guy in a guy in a suit, essentially.
I think a guy in a suit would have been less horrifying. But yeah, I'm probably gonna try to see that and maybe do a video on there if I have time. The week after that, I'm gonna see if everybody else, like Allie, who I haven't seen in like over a month now, I'm gonna see if she finally is able to. Now that she's done, she can go and see a movie because I do want to see The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll do a video. We'll see who all wants to go to that and who can make that.
When does Doctor Strange come out?
May 3rd.
Okay, yeah.
Or June 3rd or 6th or something.
June? I thought it was May. I say that because Doctor Strange is my favorite, and I wanted to. I need to know if I'm gonna be in town because I want to catch the premiere. But
yeah, so yeah, that's it. So, yeah, go see the Northman. It's pretty good.
Sky skirts.
All right, bye.